ಹಾಯ್ ಹಲೋ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ನನ್ನ ದೀಕ್ಷಾ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ. ಡಿ ಲೆಟರ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್. ಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ಡೀರ್. ಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ಡಂಬಲ್. ಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ಡ್ರಮ್. ಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ಡೆಸ್ಕ್. ಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ಡಾಂಕಿ. D for drinks. D for door. D for devil. D for drill. D for dragon. D for duck. D for dolphin. D for dog. D for driver. D for diaper. D for doctor. D for drawing. D for dirty. D for donut. D for dish. D for dates. D for drops. D for daddy. D for daughter. D for days. D for December. D for dove. D for daisy. D for dragonfly. D for dream. D for dairy products. D for dart. D for dragon fruit. D for dustbin. D for dollar. D for down. D for den. D for duster. D for dictionary. D for dodo bird. D for dollhouse. D for dominoes. D for delivery. D for dustpan. D for dot. D for division symbol. D for Deepavali. D for diya. D for dimple. D for div. D for dwarf. D for dinner. D for doll. D for dress. D for dice. D for diamond. D for dance. D for desert. D for dinosaur. D for diagram. D for dental. D for director. D for disco. D for dish TV. D for diary. D for detergent. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon. Thank you.